It was something that we conceptualized during conversations here in El Zonte at Bitcoin Beach, something that as a producer and exporter of specialty coffees from El Salvador, we consider that it's something important to integrate a model where we can have a genuine direct trade from a bottoms-up approach, from farmer to consumer, eliminating both financial and commercial intermediaries. So for that, I sent some coffees and some of our specialties, Satoshi specialty blend for everybody to try. And I'm sure you guys are gonna, as much as myself, we're gonna learn a lot from everybody on this panel. So thank you, and yeah, I'm free to have to jump in at the end for any questions you may have. And this is what we call the genuine circular economy, from producer to consumer. This is where we eliminate a financial instrument called a commodity, which is obscene for farmers all over. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Good to see you, my friend. I can't wait to be back in El Salvador. Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to turn this over to Greg Foss. Going up on the screen. All right. How many people in the room know who Greg Foss is?
Yeah, Foss.
Okay. All right. You're the big guy in the room. You know your ideas are what's getting everything excited and going around here, and we're so pleased and happy to have you for our inaugural Connecticut Bitcoin Society Freedom Meetups. And because of the state of Connecticut was a leader in the American Revolution just after Concord and Lexington. We had a guy here by the name of Nathan Hale, who said when he was captured by the British, folks we all know and love, right? Peter McCormick, the rest. Once he was captured and tried as a spy, before he was hung, his last words were I regret I have but one life to give for my freedom, my country. Right? So we're Bitcoiners. We regret we have but one life to give for our Bitcoin. Take it away, Greg, and thanks for coming.
Well, hi everyone. Is the audio okay?
Yeah, great.
Awesome. All right. Well, let me just say thank you so much for inviting me, Stephen. Jorge, it's great to, forgive me if I've met you down in Bitcoin Beach. I met an awful lot of people in El Salvador. I love your country. Shout out to my friend Roman Martinez from Bitcoin Beach. I love what you guys are doing in El Salvador. I really applaud your president, Bukele. I know the mathematics and how he's helped improve the economy for El Salvador using Bitcoin and attracting Bitcoiners from all over the world. So it's an impressive blueprint for other countries to follow. I am proud to say that I've met enterprising young El Salvadorans who want to change the world. I mentioned Roman Martinez and the entire Bitcoin Beach ecosystem. So I encourage you to continue your circular economy idea. And I'm very proud to say I met Stephen in Boston, where I got to be clear here now, so that a lot of the room doesn't know who I am. And I'm happy about that, because that means we're very early. When I say very early, it means that even Bitcoiners don't know the entire depth of the Bitcoin community. Opportunity. So, a bit about myself. I'm a Canadian. I went to school at Cornell in upstate New York. A number of my classmates were from Connecticut. Most of them were from New Jersey, New York, all around the world. But there was an expression that nobody north of Connecticut has a brain. And I beg to differ, because I actually think that the Canadians living in your attic, rent-free in the attic of the United States, can offer a world of experience as to what can happen when a government goes somewhat astray with opinions like our Prime Minister, who says stuff like budgets will balance themselves. That's irresponsible financial management. So I graduated from Cornell and spent my entire career on Wall Street and Bay Street, working as both a sell-side trader. Oh, my thing is breaking up a little bit. I'm going to put myself on stop video, but hopefully you can still hear me. Working as both a hedge fund manager and a trader in credit. I'm an experienced credit trader, over 30 years of trading credit. And when I say that, I mean everything from junk bonds to restructured asset-backed commercial paper to U.S. Treasury bonds, ran the gamut of risk and managing risk primarily from a credit perspective. So, not really sure how you guys want this session to proceed. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I can go on a little rant about why I think Bitcoin is the best asymmetric investment opportunity I've ever seen in managing risk for over 35 years. I can talk about the Freedom Convoy in Canada and some of the challenges that we have had there. I can talk about Jason Lowry and the young man I met in Boston about his thesis on Bitcoin and how it's so important for the United States to maintain its number one ranking in not just economy, but in presence militarily and economically in the world. I am not a warmonger by any means, but I believe Bitcoin is probably necessary for every government to embrace, like El Salvador, in order to preserve their level of privilege, if you will. So I'll stop there. Stephen, maybe you can direct me on an angle that you'd like me to proceed. And forgive me if you've already given that laying out in our email. I have to admit, I get a ton of emails, and sometimes my brain gets overloaded.
No, we're good, Greg. Explain what you mean so that people understand this idea of an asymmetric trade that Bitcoin represents. Explain what you mean by that, please.
Sure. So when you manage risk, it's all a game of probabilities and expected value outcomes. And so you have to start with every investment you make. You have to start with a target price. You have to develop your target price based on predominantly mathematical forecasts, but there can be some gut feel. So you can have qualitative inputs and quantitative inputs. I'm an engineer by training. I went to school at McGill University in Montreal before I went to Cornell. So I love mathematics, and math is the base layer of language, okay? Let's start with that. So it doesn't matter whether you speak English or Spanish or Chinese or French or Russian. Everybody understands mathematics. So that's your base layer, and your mother tongue is your second layer language. So I like to look at everything and break things down mathematically. Forgive me if I already said I became a financial engineer, even though I graduated with the degree in mechanical engineering from McGill. I like to look at things quantitatively. Math is somewhat easier for me than the average person, but by no means is it easy. So it takes a lot of work to understand mathematics, but I look at every investment opportunity as a risk reward. And I have developed a target price for Bitcoin of over $2 million US per Bitcoin in today's dollars. Okay, so let's be very clear, 2 million US in today's dollars. And I'll tell you simply how I came up with that number. I take total financial assets in the world, global financial assets, which are US dollar 900 trillion US dollar equivalents of financial assets. And that simply includes $400 trillion of global debt, $300 trillion of global real estate, approximately $100 trillion of global equity, and another $100 trillion of fine art, currencies, commodities, gold, basically stores of value. So you have 400 plus 300 plus 100 plus 100, that's $900 trillion global financial assets in today's dollars. Okay? Because that number is an Institute of International Finance number measured in today's dollars. And I firmly believe there's a high probability that Bitcoin captures 5% of that market. So let's do some quick math. 5% times 900 trillion is 45 trillion US dollars. 45 trillion divided by 21 million, because that's the fixed supply of Bitcoin, is over $2 million US per Bitcoin, again, in today's dollars. So I'm not predicting that Bitcoin goes to $2 million eventually because the US dollar continues to debase. I am predicting that Bitcoin goes to $2 million US in today's US dollars. So when the dollar in 10 years is worth half as much as it is today, my price target goes to 4 million US dollars in 10-year dollars, 10 years down the road. So let's be clear, that's a price target. It is not a limit. It is a target based on a 5% market share capture. And I am not 100% certain it goes to that price. You can never be 100% certain about any trade or investment, but you start playing a game of probabilities, okay, people? So Bitcoin for a number is trading at 20,000 US dollars today. And if I have a price target of 2 million in today's dollars, what is 20,000 divided by 2 million? It's 1 in 100 or 1%, which is to say the market is telling me I have a 1% chance that I'm right. And I'm not 100% certain, but I'll just tell you I'm far higher than 1% or the market's probability that Bitcoin goes to $2 million in today's dollars, which is to say it has 100 times upside from here. And given the low level of risk, the high level of adoption, the lack of alternatives for sound, stable, portable store of value, I believe there's a far higher than 1% chance that Bitcoin attains my price target. Now, let's say I was 70% certain. In other words, Bitcoin should be trading at $1.4 million per Bitcoin today, but it's not. So that's how I define a beautiful asymmetric upside versus downside. Yeah, Bitcoin can go to zero. Highly unlikely to go to zero now with its maturity, but let's just play that binary outcome. It either goes to zero or it goes to $2 million because that's a binary distribution, and you play your expected value thesis on that number. So I like to say I've lived through 4 financial crises in my financial career. The first one was Brady bonds, or Latin American debt to be more specific. That was in 1988. Then in 1998 was long-term capital management. Then 2008, 2009 was the great financial crisis. And then the COVID crisis. And each successive crisis caused the government to print more money, to rescue the financial system, and debase the US dollar and all other fiats in the world. So when I said there's really nothing 100% certain in investing, there actually is one thing that is 100% certain, and that is fiat debasement. Because fiat debasement is 100% certain because of the debt spiral that the governments have built up now. And this was prior to the COVID crisis, the governments could mathematically have skated themselves back on side where the debt spiral did not become a death spiral. But since the response to COVID involves so much printing of money, it is now mathematically impossible for sovereign nations everywhere to escape the debt DEBT spiral, or in other words, it's a death spiral if they weren't able to print money. So by printing money, they are able to keep the debt Ponzi alive, and that is simply, in other words, another way of saying they print money to pay the interest expense on the debt. And so having spent my life in restructured debt, in junk bonds, I know what a company looks like when it is in financial distress. And I will simply say that every single nation in the world is in financial distress right now, but they can print money. What is the outcome of that? Fiat debasement. Your purchasing power goes lower as the unit of account, the dollar, goes lower. So your house hasn't really increased in value, people. The value is the same. It's just that the unit of account, the debasing US dollar, takes more US dollars to buy the same value house as it did 30 and 40 years ago. The house has the same value. The unit of account has less purchasing power. So I hope that's clear. So I see a conservative opportunity to make 100 times your money in the hardest asset, secured by proof of work, secured by the world's strongest computer system, secured by math and code, of which there is no CEO that can change the protocol. And I see this opportunity as the best asymmetric investment opportunity I've ever seen. I hope that answers your question. It was long-winded. Again, it's based on mathematics. It's not based on anything qualitative. It's based 100% on the math of the financial system as it exists in the here and now, or today. Thanks.
Hey, Greg, thanks so much. I think that stimulated some thinking as I look around the room. What I want to do is give some people here a chance to ask you some questions. I got a little bit of a conflict. I've got some people, Peru and El Salvador, waiting to come in. Their link isn't so great. Can you hang on for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we'll come back with some questions?
Are you asking me if I can hang on?
Yeah,
certainly.
Can you hang on? Okay, so we're just going to.
So what am I doing, Stephen? To be clear, I'm waiting here, or I can go and come back in 15 minutes.
You can go and come back to this link in 15 minutes. Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna stay on the link. I might leave my desk just for 5 or 10 minutes here, but otherwise I'll be listening in. Okay.
No problem.
Let's just see if my video is working any better right now.
It's working fine.
Yeah, my video is sort of working. You can see when I leave my desk, but I'll try and listen in. So go ahead.
Okay, so we're just going to bring up another group. I think Joe. Thanks, Craig, so much. We've got some questions that'll come back to you in a minute.
Yeah, Seb's got the link.
Well, I'd like Greg has got a lot of experience. I know he's kind of struggling with what everybody's interested in. If you got a couple of questions in mind, when he comes back in 2 minutes, we've got to bring somebody else up who the Bitcoin racing team, which is races on the European circuit. Matthew is here, and Seb is one of the drivers. They're both on the line, and we're going to try to break them in.
We're still waiting.
Anybody got a question for Greg while we're waiting?
All right, Greg. I know you've been I know you've been active in Canada, but also traveling around the world. You've seen different scenarios. I know that Canada had this issue last year about the Oh, we got a question here. Sorry, hang on.
So I'm in my economics class and we're going over this about how the U.S. can go into debt default in the summertime. And do you think that they will print more money to make it not happen, or do you think they're going to raise the debt ceiling? If that makes sense.
I'm afraid I only caught about half the question. Can you repeat the question, Stephen?
Yeah, so the U.S. is about to face a debt default. The U.S. is about to face a debt. I know. So it's all politics, right? The U.S. has to raise the debt ceiling. Congressional action to raise the debt ceiling. And I think what you were asking is, are they going to print more money to get out of this crisis of the debt ceiling? Yeah.
So there's two different things, guys, ladies and gentlemen. There's the short-term debt ceiling, which is nothing more than a technical hurdle. And then there's the ability to service debt over the long term. What I like to focus on is the long term. This debt ceiling has been broken tens and perhaps almost 100 times since it was first invoked in Congress. The record is crazy. I don't expect the U.S. to, there could be a short-term technical default, but I don't believe it is something that will cause them not to eventually be able to refinance all their debt. Debt never matures. Debt just rolls over, especially when you go from 31 trillion US dollars in debt, in federal debt. That is growing every year by about almost 10% a year, so $3 trillion, which means you need to continually roll the debt that's outstanding that matures, and it's that maturity wall that is the real danger. It's not the Congress number that says we cannot exceed this debt ceiling. It's when global investors stop refinancing your debt. It's when a China plus Japan plus a Russia plus all other global central banks stop using the U.S. Treasury bonds as global reserve asset, okay? So let's be careful to define the difference between the government gymnastics they're doing on the debt ceiling versus something that's measured in something I spent my career in called credit default swaps, where you can actually measure the probability of the USA defaulting based on credit default swap rates, open market credit default swap rates, which are market determined. They're free market insurance policies, if you will. And I'll just tell you that the chance of the USA defaulting in the next 5 years is very low, but not zero. So just be careful when you're taught in school that your US Treasury bond is a risk-free asset. It is not risk-free. It is extremely low credit risk, but it's not zero credit risk. You have to go to other countries in the world. Let's take Argentina as an example, where it is a G20 nation, so it's one of the top economies, top 20 economies in the world, and it has defaulted 4 times in my career. Those are the places where you have to worry about default on fiat. Argentina needs Bitcoin way more than the USA needs Bitcoin in the short term. But my argument is in the long term, every nation in the world needs Bitcoin as a reserve asset because the metrics for credit for the USA as a credit risky borrower are just getting worse. Interest expense is increasing as interest rates go higher. Interest expense is increasing as the deficit grows, and it's that debt spiral that causes international investors to boycott refinancing U.S. debt. It happens in Venezuela, it happens in Argentina. It has not happened to a G7 country yet, but my prediction is Canada, on its current course, will be the first G7 nation to default on its debt. We don't have a debt ceiling, we just have a prime minister who's mathematically challenged and says shit like, the budget will balance itself. That is absolutely embarrassing, and if he was a CEO of a publicly traded company, he should be fired on the spot, okay? This is the financial illiteracy of the politicians charged today, and it's for that reason you own Bitcoin as your insurance, because of the debt spiral. I hope that helps, and welcome to the other guys that just joined the stage.
Okay, I think some of the people in the room are students at our local state university, the University of Connecticut, Southern Connecticut State University, and I know that their dean, the professor of the business school, is giving them credit for attending here. So I think they just earned their credit, Greg. I think they just earned the credit. All right. We're going to let you go. I want to appreciate you. I want to tell you how much we appreciate so much you're coming in and being with us today. Always amazing to talk to you, my friend.
On that note, I'll stick around and hear what the other speakers have to say.
Great.
I don't want to steal time from them. I just want to encourage people to continue to do the work on Bitcoin. I applaud you for coming out on a Wednesday night in New Haven. I'm not sure what the weather's like there, but we're in the midst of a pretty big snowstorm up here in Toronto. Keep doing the work, guys. It's for your children that you're doing this work. I'm a 60-year-old spoiled boomer who has stolen from the future of our children because I'm too fucking lazy to pay my own debt. And when I talk about me, I talk about other Ivy League elitists that have gone to Ivy League schools and assume that they're just going to steal from the future of their children because that's the way Wall Street works. It's bullshit. You have to call it out. You're stealing from the future of your kids. Please don't do that. Be responsible. Own Bitcoin. Learn math for your kids. Thanks so much from Canada. God bless the United States.
Stick around, Greg. We've got another sort of question straggler in the back, but we're going to bring on Matt Spear, and I think Seth is
And I need a drink.
Let's see. I can see the lake in the background. Lake Ilopango. Wait a minute. We gotta get some volume. Can you unmute? Seth?
No, unmuted. Everyone hear me? Yeah, can you hear me, Steve?
Hear you now. Thank you. All right. Man, I'm going to let you do the formal introductions because, at this point, I'm pretty nervous. I got Seb on the phone here. I got to be perfect, right? All right. Okay. Matthew Spear, please introduce yourself, the Bitcoin racing team, and tell us what you're all about.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Matthew. I'm one of the directors of Bitcoin Racing. It's really nice to see you all. The weather's pretty good here, I must say. I'm originally from Lake Ilopango, Villa Bella in El Salvador, just to the east of San Salvador, the capital. So yeah, I got my bro Sebastian Maros with me. Where are you, Seb? Are you in Lima, right?
I'm in Lima right now, yeah, in Peru. In Peru, I love it. I love it so far. It's been a busy day. Interviews and everything, so it's been fun though. I'm loving life so far.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you were here with me, right? A couple of weeks. Only a few days ago. So yeah, look, guys. I don't know what's been said so far because obviously I've just got in from meetings, but we are Bitcoin Racing. So we set up a race team just over a year ago now, and I'm really proud of what we've achieved. In a little over a year, we have had the most incredible time of it, and I would really want every one of you, if you're into Bitcoin, to support us and follow us as we move forward. We've had 2022 brought us 3 podiums for a new team. Our in-house star driver, Christopher McKenzie, placed 5th overall in a UK championship, the City Car Cup, out of 40 cars on the grid. We are looking to put Bitcoin on the map through motor racing, which obviously traditionally has been one of the big ways that the companies can get the message out to a worldwide audience. We really have had the most incredible time of it, and I was really so privileged to be introduced to your father, actually, originally said, right, to your dad last year, was introduced to me by the ambassador of El Salvador to Britain, Her Excellency Vanessa Interiano, someone I proudly can call a dear friend of mine now. So on the basis of that, Seb came to drive for us at Alton Park last year in Britain. A car he'd never even touched before, or he'd never seen before. You've had no practice, right, Seb? No practice whatsoever.
It was.
It was literally straight from nothing, from a rear-wheel drive BMW on the Nürburgring to a front-wheel Porsche city car. And you put it on the podium, not once but twice, my friend. Second place and then third place. So this man can drive. And what we're looking at this year, we can't say too much, I must say, because we have a lot going on here with the government of El Salvador. We have a lot going on with you yourself, Sebastian, but we haven't officially announced anything yet. But this team is headed for the stars. We really, really are. With Bitcoin to our name, and with the will of El Salvador behind us, and you, Sebastian, mate, we're going to take it all the way. I'm going to hand it over to you, Seb. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you're at.
Yeah, so basically I started off my career, if you like, my professional career as a race car driver. My first professional contract was with BMW, which I was contracted in Germany for a year to race at the Nürburgring, which kind of aged my mum about 10 years, but we don't really talk about that. And then time for Porsche, unfortunately COVID came, but really COVID was my first sort of interaction with Bitcoin. And obviously I was that kind of uneducated head in the whole kind of Bitcoin scene when it was kind of COVID, where I think a lot of people started to dip their toe in the water with Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, I've done the typical throw some money down, see where it takes me. It done well, and I actually kept it in. And a year, I think it was maybe the last year of COVID, where everything was kind of relaxing a bit. I got an opportunity to go on TV, which I was on to what to handle. Done, you know, while we were filming, basically, you're out in Cape Coast filming for 6 weeks, but 3 of those 6 is in quarantine, obviously because of COVID. And I remember sitting there with my chaperone, thinking, you know what, like this COVID, this Bitcoin space is quite exciting. Never knew anything of it. Like I said, I was so uneducated from it. Didn't know the long-term goal of Bitcoin, really. I just thought it was one of these things that people would just put their money in and hope they got a great return and put their money back out. And I think Bitcoin was sitting at about 60. This was November 2021, or October, November 2021. Bitcoin was sitting at about 60. And I was reading on Twitter, as you do, and everyone was kind of, the rumours had that Bitcoin by the end of December would be 80, and then January it would be at 100. So I was like, right, no brainer, throw money down. Went away to film, do what to handle, got up to the final, got a girlfriend, you know, thought I'd made it, came off the show, and went to go look at my Bitcoin and thought, right, I'm going to be rich, it's going to be easy. And I think Bitcoin, by the time I came off the show, which was in December, I think it dropped about 40. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are probably know way more than me. But anyway, so I was like, right, I've obviously done something wrong here, I've probably been a bit naive. Anyway, kind of forgot about Bitcoin. I'd lost my love for it, hated it, and I think a few months later, that's when Vanessa got in touch with Dad, which is the story that Matthew was talking about, to race for Bitcoin racing, because I am half Salvadorian from my mum's side, and obviously I've got this great relationship with Bitcoin, and yeah, basically joined the team for a couple of races, just a bit of fun, because like I said, I came from these big manufacturers, professional race car driver, and I thought, well, I'm not racing for a year because of the show, etc. I'm going to jump into the city cars for a bit of fun, and obviously Vanessa, I wanted to thank Vanessa, she had come to one of my big races in the touring car championship, if you like, and I was like, yeah, sure, Vanessa, I'll race for Bitcoin racing, it sounds like a bit of fun, and they've got a great relationship with El Salvador, which obviously means a lot to me. It's almost second home. So anyway, long story short, I built a relationship with these guys in Bitcoin racing, built a far bigger relationship with El Salvador that I didn't realise was going to grow arms and legs. And obviously recently the TV show came out. El Salvador wanted me to become an ambassador of them. Bitcoin racing have kindly adopted me to be their main racing driver and also part owner of the team as well. So we're working on some big things, and now I feel it's the correct time to start being so uneducated with Bitcoin and to actually start to learn. And all you guys call these people who are uneducated Bitcoin plebs, right? I am one of those people. I don't really like to call myself a pleb because I don't see myself like that. But yeah, I guess it's one of these running jokes that the community has. But yeah, I mean, now I've read a lot more about it. I've spoken to a lot of influential people in the Bitcoin space, and I can really see a bright future with it. And I'm probably talking too much at the moment, but I'm just going to say one last thing. Basically, what I think about Bitcoin now, as it stands, is it's not one of these, it's not like a gamble. It's one of these things where I believe now, and I might be wrong, I might be right, but everyone's got their own opinion on it. But I feel that Bitcoin is one of these things where you put your money and you don't take it out anymore. It's not one of these things where it's no longer a short-term benefit. It's a long-term game where it's going to be your bank account one day. I believe, from what I've been told, from what I've read, from what I've heard, Bitcoin is not a gamble, it's your bank account and it's your investment where you put your money down and you leave it in there for as long as you want it to be in there for, because one day you're going to start paying a Bitcoin. And yeah, like I said, you guys have got your own opinions on it, that's my opinion, and what I'm learning about the Bitcoin space is, once upon a time I thought Bitcoin was very much at its peak. I've since realised it's not, it's at the very beginning, it's base cap.
Yeah, we're so
early, and I thought, wow, Bitcoin's at its peak, it's going to hit 100, I'm going to grab the money and go and run off happy. I've realised that we're actually at base camp right now, and it's exciting, and I feel like, right, now's the time to learn this, because it's going to be a huge, what's the word I'm thinking about? It's going to be huge, basically. There's a better word for that, but I think, yeah, everyone who's involved in it now and who trusts it, because for a long time I didn't trust Bitcoin at all, because it stung me, because I was treating it wrong. I was treating it as an uneducated person would treat it. But now I feel like, right, I'm a bit more educated now, I understand the space, and now this is the time to really get my teeth into it and learn from it.
Hey guys, can I just comment on that excellent, it's Foss. I'm going to have to jump, but I enjoy hearing this narrative from Seb and Matt. The word you were looking for is Bitcoin is going to become the standard, okay? That is the name of probably the best Bitcoin book written by Saifedean Ammous called the Bitcoin Standard. But Bitcoin will become the standard. And the word that Seb was also looking for was Bitcoin is your insurance. You don't sell insurance. Bitcoin is your insurance on the inevitable collapse of fiat currency. So much like fire insurance on your house, don't sell your fire insurance on your house when the fire is coming across the valley and is going to come up to your back porch. You need to buy more insurance against the fiat Ponzi, because fiat Ponzi is only grade 11 mathematics, okay? I tried to lay that out in the debt spiral narrative. It's very simple. The USA and all other sovereign debt nations cannot fund themselves without an inevitable collapse in fiat. Grade 11 mathematics, don't overthink it. I know you guys in Connecticut are pretty darn smart. Put your hours in and study why Bitcoin is the most beautiful, asymmetric, risk-return opportunity I've ever seen. Good work, Sam. Nice to meet you, Matt.
I hope to meet you one day.
Me too, sir. El Salvador is a beautiful place. Jorge, keep up the good work. Bitcoin Beach, I'm coming back for the halving party in 2024. Okay, so 440 days left until the next Bitcoin halving party, and there's a guy, Big Sean Harris, who is organizing a party in El Salvador, and I plan to attend 100%. So thanks for having me. Keep going hard, people. This is a evolution. It's not a revolution. But you know what? New Haven has a little bit of revolutionary stuff in them as well, much like Boston did. We need to take these fiat monsters down because they are ruining the future for our kids. And you cannot continue to print money. If printing money led to prosperity, there'd be no poor poverty left in the world. What is the truth? There's more poverty than ever because the only people who benefit by printing money are the top 1% of the Nancy Pelosi's and other crooks in the world who use insider trading and all that bullshit to enrich themselves in the fiat system, okay? Please do your mathematics. Thanks and good night from Canada.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Just one more comment before Greg leaves. Thank you, Greg. It's a privilege again to be with you gentlemen and everybody up there in Hale. On behalf of our family, our producer network, and our friends, we want to just say something that Bitcoin also, it's the love behind, it solves many things. Having relocated back to El Salvador over a decade ago, I want to emphasize this, and I tell this to everybody who visits from all across the different continents. Our friends from the UK, we got American friends, we got South Americans, Asians coming all the way to El Salvador. For the first time ever, we don't have a large population migrating wanting to leave El Salvador. Bitcoin is part of the equation of why Salvadorians are not migrating to other parts of the world, Canada, and the US, Australia. Now we also have Salvadorians who left during the war in the 80s or even before the war. Now they're relocating as professionals because of Bitcoin. I've been fortunate to also meet other professionals who are coming back, and it's a privilege to have them in the team as well. So it's one important part. No more families being separated. We want to be and have and be able to produce value for value. And from a producer, that's what Bitcoin represents for us. It's value for value. And you guys enjoy Satoshi blend because these are we're not competitive at mining, but we're competitive at producing the best specialty coffees on the planet. And I say that with all integrity, because you guys are everybody that supports us. We're doing direct trade for the first time ever without counting on banks, without going into exporters, importers, distributors. We're taking it to everybody. So we're happy to be here making team with you all. Thank you.
Jorge, it's Foss again. Sorry to keep barging in. I was sitting in the El Salvador airport on the way flying back to Miami, and I was wearing sandals that had the Bitcoin logo on. Someone in El Salvador had given them to me. Bright orange sandals with the Bitcoin logo on them. And a well-dressed El Salvadoran gentleman came by and said, "Do you like your sandals?" And I said, I love them. Do you like Bitcoin? And he said, what's not to like? I just moved back from Miami to El Salvador, my homeland, after 25 years of living in Miami. And he did look like a very influential businessman. So I tweeted that around, a picture of my sandals, sitting in the airport in El Salvador. And Bukele retweeted the picture of my sandals. So I've seen live firsthand people who are returning to El Salvador. It's only a country of 6 million people, okay? But it can hugely benefit, and it is hugely benefiting from incorporating Bitcoin into their trade, into their economy. So keep up the great work. I hope Canada follows suit, but here's the funny thing. If we don't, Canadians better learn how to speak Spanish because we're going to be answering to El Salvador and other Central American countries that are going to control the world, okay? So I love Spaniards, or Central Americans, I just don't want to necessarily have to learn to speak Spanish, okay? I want Canada to be able to survive on its own and keep fighting the good fight. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you and good night again. Finally, bye guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I have said this is Steve Willard. I have a question for you. I think it's a question on everybody's mind in the room. Did you orange pill Hale?
Sorry, who's that question for?
That's for you, Seth. We want to know if you
Yes.
we want to know if you orange pilled Kayla.
Hale, well, she sat right opposite me. Are you a Lunchbill?
No! No!
She's a work in progress.
Okay.
Like a lot, but she's a
Okay.
work in progress.
That's an
I don't want you to run in the Bitcoin space, but again, I think right now, I think Bitcoin is growing, and I think some people who haven't trusted it in the past are beginning to trust it now. And the more people that talk, the more people that allow others to be educated with it, are going to continue to grow. It's kind of like what Greg was saying there, is that Bitcoin is bringing communities together that might not have been brought together in the past. El Salvador being one of them. And it is a team effort. I think everyone, I don't like hard selling, I hate hard selling, I'm so against it. But I think Bitcoin starting to speak for itself, and you can tell because there's a full country behind it. Like, that's not a hard sell, you know, when you've got a president, a full country behind Bitcoin, the belief of it, I think that the hard sale is no longer there. It's becoming a work in progress, and people are starting to trust it more. So I'm going to sit with her and talk about it with her and see if she changes.
Alright, okay. Does anybody in the audience have any questions for the Bitcoin racing team? Anybody racing fans in the room? Anybody like racing?
We need to watch more in the U.S.
Yeah, we need to watch racing more often in the U.S. We've got a couple of racetracks in Connecticut, but anybody have any questions?
You got Line Rock Park, right, near you guys?
We
Is
do.
that right?
NASCAR.
We do. Lime Rock Park. Anybody been to Been to Lime Rock?
Great circuit.
Yeah. All right. So we love our cars in Connecticut as well. Okay. Anybody have any questions before I let these gentlemen go? I can see that it's getting dark behind Matt. I hope he's in a boat.
Yeah, I need to go and tuck my kids in bed, Steve, if it's okay with you, man. I've been out all day and they're waiting up for me, bless them.
Quick question about Bitcoin racing. How do you guys think about what's the vision for Bitcoin racing to advance? Can you not hear me?
I can just about hear you.
Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Closer to the computer. How is Bitcoin racing going to advance Bitcoin adoption? What's the vision for Bitcoin racing and education?
Yeah, it's a good question. So that really sums up why we were formed. It really was us to try and push the word of Bitcoin out in front of as many people across the world, across the UK, across Central America, across the United States of America, across the whole world, as many people as possible. Motorsport has always been used as an immense medium for advertising. And the formation of this team really had that in mind, just to utilise every high level that we can of motorsport to push that message out. We have educators working for us, we have very well known educators on the board of the team, so yeah, we really do think that we can really push hard to get the message across as much of the world as possible.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions before I let these gentlemen go? Get inside, Matt. Don't want you to fall out of the boat there, my friend. Okay, no questions. All right, listen, thank you both. Seth, we wish you the best of luck in the racing season coming up. We're all going to be watching, we're going to be watching the circuit. Bring home the trophy.
I think if anyone's got any useful information for me to keep my education on Bitcoin high, then please reach out to me, because I do need the help.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right,
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
Thanks very much. Appreciate your coming on.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks,
Matt,
everyone. Yeah, follow that to me. It'd be great things to see you. Take it easy, guys. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Well, geez. Yeah, so guys, we have pupusas that are out for food. For those of you that don't know, pupusa is the main meal down in El Salvador. I had the opportunity to visit the country last year 2 times. Jack went 2 times, and Steve's been a few times as well. And it's an incredible country. They're the first country in the world to make Bitcoin their national currency, so it's legal tender down there. And we use it everywhere. We use it to pay for groceries, we use it to pay for hotels, to pay for restaurant bills. So it's really interesting to go from a place like Connecticut, which we have a reliable banking system. We don't really have to worry about relying on Bitcoin for payments, to a developing country like El Salvador, where 85% of the population is unbanked, and they rely on Bitcoin payments to pay each other, just as we would up here with our own bank accounts. So we thought it'd be very fitting to bring in pupusas here tonight for meals, so definitely dig in. We've got just one more speaker up tonight from River Financial that'll be popping in at some point. River Financial is a sponsor for tonight's event. If you haven't checked out their website, they're a really good exchange to dollar cost average and saving Bitcoin. So you can set a recurring buy for every week, every 2 weeks, every month, and you can save that way. But for me personally, I just want to step up and thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'm a Connecticut local myself, born and raised in Britain, Connecticut. I live in Middletown now, so getting to know the New Haven area a lot more over the last couple of years. And we've been wanting to get a Bitcoin meetup started in state for a few years now. I know I've talked to some people that are running the event, running another meetup within New Haven, and also thinking about starting meetups. And what motivated us to actually start doing it was our experience down in El Salvador, talking to the folks down there. And they said, stop wasting time, just start hosting local meetups and educational sessions, and start meeting people, talking to people, and educating people. So this was our first real step into that domain, and we hope that this will be one of the first of many meetups that we'll have in Connecticut. Tonight just happens to be a presentation format where we've had Greg Foss and some people that call in and talk. Other events that we'll have will be more educational, so it'll be geared towards a certain part of educating you on Bitcoin. So check on the meetup page. One event you might not think it's really fitting for me for this type of education, but another event might be. And we're hoping to get more really good guest speakers to talk to us here. So thank you for bearing with us with the audio technology. We're amateurs, but I think we did pretty good at it. And yeah, so in the meantime, we'll take a little intermission. Feel free to use your drink coin. Feel free to get some pupusas. We'll do a little bit more networking, and then once the individual from River pops on, we'll know, and then we'll introduce her and finish up the night. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Just following up, Joe, we want to thank everybody for coming out. It's a bad weather night here in Connecticut. I appreciate some people came from a long way, so appreciate your coming out tonight. Please eat those 3 trays of pupusas before you go. All right?
Steve, what is a pupusa? What's inside a pupusa?
What's inside a pupusa? Who can tell me? Jack, what's inside?
Oh, we have our next guest. So there's different fillings. Typically it's a little cheese, a little meat. It's like a pancake that's got like a filling in it. It's pretty good. Oh, and here's our guest.
Lindsay Foss from River Financial. Lindsay, we're trying to keep people from getting up and running to the food bar next to us here. So we're going to give you 5 minutes just to introduce yourself from River. Everybody already kind of knows. We've seated the room with River information, and we want to thank you personally and River collectively for sponsoring this event, for providing such wonderful food. You can't see it over on the side. Everybody's had some drinks, and thanks very much. So welcome. You're muted. Sorry, we got a mute button on.
There we go. How about now? Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Stephen. River is super excited to be a part of the Connecticut Bitcoin Society's first Freedom Meetup. I've been working with Stephen for about a year now, and super excited to join and tell you a little bit about River. I'll try to make it quick so you guys can get over to the food over there. But I am a relationship manager here at River. Been with the company a little over a year. We are a Bitcoin-only financial services company, and we've been in business for about 4 years. Celebrated our 4th anniversary yesterday, so very exciting time for us here. We began based out of San Francisco, moved to Columbus in late 2021, just opened an office in New York City a couple weeks back. So slowly but surely expanding. But since we only work with Bitcoin, we are incredibly specialized. It just allows us to provide a better service and a simple and easy way to use our platform. Our white glove service is truly what makes us stand out in the space. We have a live customer support team available to you all Monday through Friday. You can chat with us, email us, give us a call, whatever works for you. And then also our relationship management team, we're always happy to assist as well. So 3 main offerings here: brokerage, river lightning services, and mining. I'll give a quick overview of each, but mostly we'll focus on brokerage. I know we have a limited amount of time, so if you have any questions, feel free to grab one of my cards from Steven. You can text, call, email, whatever works best for you, and I'd be happy to help. Brokerage is where River began. Clients are able to buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin with River. So we are currently offering 0 fees on recurring orders. It's a great way $1 cost average, super simple to set up. You just select an amount you'd like to purchase and on what cadence, so whether that's daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, it'll automatically do it for you. As far as security goes, we do hold 100% reserves in cold storage, meaning River does not use or lend your Bitcoin. We use a multi-signature cold storage system, and this just ensures deposits are secured from internal and external threats. So while you are able to store your Bitcoin with River, we also always encourage our clients to self-custody. A very common phrase in the Bitcoin space is not your keys, not your coin, so we are pro self-custody around here. Institutional accounts, so a lot of our clients do prefer to purchase Bitcoin through entities such as an LLC or a corporation. We can onboard these in about 72 hours, so pretty quick once we have all the proper documentation. And then I always like to mention you are able to add beneficiaries to your account. So in case anything were to happen to you as an account holder, it would make it an easy transfer of funds to your loved ones in case anything were to occur. And then we do have Lightning services. So the Lightning network is really just a second layer that allows a cheaper and quicker way to move Bitcoin. El Salvador has adopted Bitcoin as a national currency, and River is very proud to power their El Chivo wallet. So our River Lightning services allows exchanges to accept transfers via the Lightning network. I'm happy to hop on a call and discuss that in more detail, but again, I know we're running short on time. We do have a mining product as well. It is a hosted service, so you don't ever have to do anything with the miners. We do host them and operate them for you. We are with Blockstream, so very reputable hosting provider there. And then we have also partnered with Foundry and secured 0% fees for our mining pool too. We did recently sell out of inventory, but we're in the process of procuring more. So if you're interested, you can add your name to the wait list, which is available on your website, or you can contact me directly. I'm happy to add your name as well. I know that was a lot of information in a very short amount of time, and hopefully it was helpful. I always encourage folks to check out River Learn. It's a really great resource, has lots of info, super easy to digest too. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'd love to hop on a call and assist wherever I can.
I think, Lindsay, the best testimonial that I can provide to River is that I've been with you now for about a year, and frankly, and I'm both a DCA, dollar cost averaging purchaser, and I love the fact that I don't pay any fees, and I accumulate Bitcoin every week. I'm also a mining customer, and so I get sats put into my account every day, and when I wake up, I check to see the miners are still working. So I can't say enough, because at every step of the way, folks like you at River walked me through the process. I didn't really have to. I'm on the Bitcoin journey that everybody's on, trying to educate myself, etc. But River has been an outstanding service provider. They've given me a white glove treatment, even though I'm just a regular customer. So we appreciate it. Thank you, Lindsay. When you're in New York City, you need to make a side trip up to New Haven, Connecticut. Okay?
CT!
Yeah, I definitely will.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for coming on. All right, that ends our program. And I'll take questions, Lindsay, and I'll forward them to you. Okay? Good. Thank you.
Awesome. Sounds great. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. They have services. because I can't remember off the top of my head everything that they're offering. They're always expanding. They're always getting into services. Yeah. Okay.
All right, awesome guys. And seriously, so River Financial is our sponsor tonight, but a lot of you that I met tonight have the Cash App. You've got other Coinbase, right? You've got other exchanges where you're acquiring your Bitcoin. Me myself, I work for Gemini. I also direct the Bitcoin mining operation in Bristol, Connecticut. So whatever you've got to acquire it, just keep acquiring it, right? River Financial does a really good job with dollar cost averaging, not financial advice, but that is the best way to accumulate, right? Set it and forget it. Big deal about Bitcoin is no one can create more of it, right? That's for us here in Connecticut that already have a functioning banking system. You know, we don't really rely on it as a means of payment right now. However, all of us have to preserve wealth in the future. And the fact that you can't create more of this form of money, for me personally, is pretty significant. I come from a corporate finance background, United Technologies, and some of these manufacturing companies around here. Again, El Salvador, though, not only is it a store of wealth, however, it's a means of payment, so it's Bitcoin. So, really appreciate all of you coming out again tonight. Thank you so much. Enjoy some pupusas. I'll turn it over to Steve to end us here. And, you know, it's 8 o'clock, so we've got another hour of networking. I hope to meet some of you, and we'll see you in the future.
The end.